Welcome back, ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things you might have missed in the first trailer for HBO's. Now, I have been waiting for this trailer for a long time. Lanterns was first announced in 2022 when James Gunn unveiled the first slate of projects for the DCU. The show follows the Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan and John Stewart, and is described as a detective story rather than the space operas that we're used to in Lantern stories. Gunn cited both fantastic series True Detective and Slow Horses as the main inspirations for the show, when we see a lot of parallels for those in this trailer. Now, during the months leading up to this release, Gunn also revealed that the mystery Stewart and Jordan are investigating during this series leads into the main overarching story for the DCU, which we have some theories on we'll talk about later. Now, let's get into this trailer. The trailer opens with Hal and John driving down the highway together. John says,
"With all due respect, we've been training for what, 2 months?"
To which Hal calls him
the substitute teacher.
Which is true. Prior to the New 52 reboot of the DC Comics, John Stewart was actually just a substitute Green Lantern for Guy Gardner.
Now wait a minute, how many Green Lanterns are there?
There's like a lot. I mean, it's an entire Space Corps tasked to patrol every sector of the known universe, so they need a big team. Anyways, John Stewart first appeared in the DC universe in the 1971 Green Lantern run and Green Lantern issue 87. James Gunn posted a teaser yesterday showing the cover of this issue along with a few other iconic Green Lantern runs that we'll discuss later. The comic takes place after Guy Gardner was injured and unable to continue his duties as a Green Lantern. Now, because of this, one of the Guardians of the Universe contacts Hal Jordan, telling him that they had chosen another substitute Lantern for him in Guy's absence. The Guardian then shows him John Stewart, and their introduction doesn't go as smoothly as the Guardians hoped. When Hal first sees John, he's put off by their choice of replacement and calls it a clear mistake. But Hal is quickly proven wrong. John's a fast learner and masters the Lantern's powers almost immediately. Still, he and Hal have a tumultuous start due to John's background. John Stewart's debut came during a major shift in the comics industry. Black superheroes were increasingly prominent in the 1970s, and this Green Lantern run highlighted how Stewart's race impacted his role as a Lantern. In his first fight, Stewart deliberately hits a truck to spill oil on a racist senator, which Hal later confronts him about. Later in the issue, Hal and John reach an understanding and begin their history of mutual respect, although they still clash as shown in this trailer. As I said, John's backstory was retconned. Following DC Comics' reboot, he was rewritten as a former Marine stationed at Ferris Air Base. In this continuity, it was revealed that the Guardians had been watching him since he was a child. Rather than being a substitute for Hal, they had handpicked him for the Corps, with Kilowog acting as his trainer instead of Hal. Based on their relationship in the trailer, it seems like they'll be taking more from the Silver Age comic run of Green Lanterns rather than the post-reboot canon. Oh, by the way, Doug, I need time off for the summer because I'm going on vacation.
To buy me a birthday present?
No, actually, I am going on a geek location filming tour in the UK. I'm going to the Scottish Highlands where they filmed Andor, and back to the Game of Thrones studio in Northern Ireland, and I cannot wait.
Well, don't call while you're there. We can't afford the long distance charges.
Long distance? What are you talking about? This isn't the 90s. I'm gonna use my Saily eSim. Honestly though, the first time I traveled overseas, I had such a hard time. I had to buy a specific new phone, load minutes onto it, and then pay for the internet by the minute. Traveling used to be a hassle before I started using Saily eSim, the sponsor of this video. Saily is one of my all-time favorite sponsors that we work with, and I recommend it to people all of the time. I travel to the UK or Europe at least once a year, so I download it before I get to the airport, and then I choose my data plan, and then I have internet as soon as I land in another country. And if you really want to step up your travel, they just introduced the Saily Ultra plan, which offers unlimited data and VIP perks like lounge access, fast track services, and advanced security tools. And if you're traveling to multiple countries, like if you're finally doing that European tour you've been putting off for years, you can get a regional or global plan to stay connected through your entire trip. Once you install Saily service, you're set for your whole trip. These plans are so affordable, and with our code ScreenCrush, you get $3 off at checkout. So click the link below or scan this QR code to get started today. Believe me, if you are traveling this year, you don't want to miss out on a Saily eSim. It's high quality, affordable, and takes the hassle out of traveling. Now back to what I was saying. And then we get a shot of the ring, and man, it is awesome. Design-wise, it looks very similar to Kyle Reiner's ring from the comics, but it's an entirely new design for the DCU. We saw another Green Lantern ring in Superman and Peacemaker, but Guy's was rounder and more green, whereas this one has gold accents, which I think works well for the tone of the show. The great thing about the DCU so far is that while this is a connected cinematic universe, they are allowing each creative team to tailor the stories and designs to each project's genre. Hal tells John,
"You're not ready to get up in front the class till the ring says you are.
And this is true. In the comics, the ring normally chooses its host, only going to the person who it deems to be the most qualified to wield its power. That was the case with Hal, which is why he seems so dead set on this rule. In the comics, Hal was chosen by the ring after its prior owner, Avon Sur, crash-landed on Earth. With his dying breath, Avon Sur asked the Battery of Power to search for the most deserving being on Earth to be the next ring bearer, which is why Hal Jordan was picked. Now, as I mentioned earlier, John was also picked by the ring, so this idea of him not being ready is entirely new to the Lantern's lore. I'm interested to see what they chose for his backstory here as well. In the comics, Jordan deems their first mission as a failure, so being that in this series they've known one another for 2 months, I wonder if Hal is the one saying that John isn't ready and not the ring itself. Hal then jumps out of the car.
All right.
As a test for John, seeing if the ring will choose him at this moment. And this is so classic Hal Jordan. In the comics, he's a loose cannon. Prior to his time as a Green Lantern, Hal worked as a test pilot for the Ferris Aircraft Company and often got into trouble for crashing planes during unauthorized joyrides. Chandler really brings Hal to life in this trailer. We see how he respects his Lantern duties, but also isn't afraid to be rash and a little out there. And this scene also perfectly sets up the dichotomy between Stewart and Jordan. After Hal's stunt, John says,
I could have died.
to which Hal replies,
You want me to train you? I'm training you.
Both Hal and John take their Green Lantern duties seriously, but John has always been less of a risk taker than Hal. Their lives before the Lantern Corps influence how the both of them fulfilled their duties as Lanterns. From his time in the Marines and his racial background, John is more disciplined and methodical, while Hal is always brash and fearless due to his time as a test pilot. After meeting the two, we then get into the plot of the show.
Something is off here. I can feel it.
Now, James Gunn has said several times the mystery of this show is going to tie into the wider DCU storyline and the Salvation prison plot that we saw in Peacemaker. Now, we don't get much insight in this trailer as to what the two Lanterns are investigating, but Hal's "I can feel it" line leads me to believe that it's something extraterrestrial. During our Peacemaker coverage, we theorized that Hal and John could be investigating a series of disappearances that are related to the alternate universe prison that they introduced in the show Peacemaker.
So on Salvation, that's where we build the prison?
No, Mr. Secretary. Salvation is the prison.
But there's something later in this trailer that leads us to believe that it could be related to a different comic arc, which would have major implications for the future of the DCU. We cut to a town meeting where we meet a new character invented for the show, Sheriff Carrie Kane, played by Kelly MacDonald. Her last name, Kane, is a nod to the co-creator of Hal Jordan, comic artist Gil Kane. Now, this character was made for the show, so not much is known about her at this moment. In her character bio, they've described her as a no-nonsense woman, deeply devoted to her family and close-knit town. Her resilience, shaped by a complex past that's hardened her resolve, anchors her when the community's secrets begin to surface. We also know that she and Hal have a past.
Think she hates your guts.
It's the way she hates them.
And that she's going to be a potential love interest for Hal throughout the show. Now, in the comics, Hal's most prominent love interest is his former boss and on-again, off-again girlfriend, Carol Ferris. Now, there's been no mention of her being in this show so far, so it's possible that Carrie is taking her place. We see Hal confront a couple of guys in a diner after what seems like a shootout, while Carrie says,
"You're a big shot."
We're meeting Hal towards what might be the end of his career. There's an ongoing theme in this trailer of John taking the mantle away from Hal, so it's quite possible that this show ends with Hal walking away from the Lantern Corps, which of course we've seen him do in the comics before. Then there's more footage of their investigation, this time at a football field, where it looks to be there's several bodies scattered around. Now, this setting could be a nod to Chandler's role in Friday Night Lights, where he won an Emmy playing the coach of a high school football team.
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't be.
We then get more banter between the two Lanterns,
This is a stupid plan.
That's stupider.
once again showing the difference between these two heroes. Although they both share the mantle of Green Lantern, all Lanterns have their own quirks and personalities, as we saw with Guy.
That haircut should be against your vows.
That what should be what? I'll have you know, 348 chicks say otherwise.
There's a shot of another field with what looks like an entrance to a farm with a huge crater in the middle. Over the crater is a broken sign reading "Study the Past," which ties in perfectly to the theme of this series. This show follows John becoming a Green Lantern, literally studying the past as he learns to become as powerful a hero as Hal is. Now, I should also note that this plot line of two Green Lanterns on the road seems inspired by the incredible comic run of Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams when Green Arrow takes takes Green Lantern on a road trip to teach him about America. Basically, he says that Green Lantern spent so much time in space, he's lost touch with real people on the ground. It was a groundbreaking series, and it could be that Hal is doing the same thing here. He wants to see how John Stewart reacts in human circumstances before he can trust him with the responsibility of dealing with giant cosmic problems. And then we get the suit reveal. Now, it's hung up in a closet, so it might not be the suit, but it's a suit and it looks great. While it's not as green as fans wanted it to be, the design is very similar to Hal's suit in Green Lantern Earth 1, another one of the comics that Gunn posted on his story. In that comic, Hal and John team up to save the universe from an invading alien force. Perhaps something similar is threatening this town, calling the Lanterns to come to their aid. And we see this suit, as John says,
The Green Lantern's oath is to protect people.
which is true, but it's a very abridged version of the oath. The words that every Lantern must say before they are initiated into the Corps are, say it with me everybody, in brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power.
Green Lantern's light.
Very good, which we first saw all the way back in the first Lantern appearance in Showcase issue 22. Then there's a no vacancy motel sign, but the lights are dimming in and out, only leaving the O in motel and the airco in air conditioning. Now, this could be a reach, but I think this is a nod to Oa, the planet that's home to the Guardians of the Universe and the Green Lanterns. John then tells Hal,
We both know I do a better job of this than you.
which is a huge point of contention. Like I said earlier, John is a far more disciplined Green Lantern than Hal, and he has saved Hal's ass several times in the comics. But whether he's better than Hal is up for debate, and this seems like it's going to be an ongoing issue between them.
This is my job. As long as I'm alive, that ain't changing.
Hal has walked away from the Corps before, both willingly and unwillingly when he was possessed by Parallax, so it's not unlikely that we see Hal incapacitated by the end of the series.
For as long as he doesn't become the Spectre again.
So we see Hal walk along the football field stepping in something red. Now this is probably blood from the bodies we saw earlier, but it can also be remnants of the Red Lanterns. The Red Lantern Corps is an evil, rage-filled sector of the Lantern Corps run by the alien Atrocitus, who has sworn revenge against the Lanterns. Now, Atrocitus has not been formally announced in this show, but we're speculating him to be revealed as Anton, played by Paul Ben-Victor in this series. Anton is said to be an extraterrestrial devoted to exacting vengeance against those who wronged his people, which frankly sounds a lot like Atrocitus. We then see a series of action shots, people riding horses, Hal and John investigating what looks like a murder den, all setting the tone for this True Detective-esque series. We also see someone jumping out of a plane, which could be a flashback of Hal, or just a nod to his past as a fearless test pilot. And then we get a peek at some of the powers, with Hal launching off into the sky. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen someone fly in the DCU, it's not even the first Green Lantern we've seen fly, but I think it's really interesting how they portray the differences between those with similar powers. In Superman, every time he flew, there was some weight to it, like he was launching off. We even got sonic booms when he flew. But Hal glides into the sky because he's not the one flying. He's commanding his ring to carry him. Then John holds the Green Lantern battery that charges their power rings. Now, this is a smaller version of the central power battery on Oa that gives the Green Lanterns their power. It connects to the willpower from every being in the universe and converts that power into the energy that runs through the Lantern's rings. After John tells Hal,
Your time is up.
the trailer shifts to focus on him. He bashes in a window, runs down a highway, and gets attacked by what looks like an extraterrestrial staple gun. It emanates some type of yellow energy, so I wonder if this is our introduction to the Yellow Lanterns, or if some human discovered the one weakness of Green Lanterns, the color yellow. The Yellow Lanterns are fueled by fear, which is the direct opposite emotion that fuels the Green Lanterns' willpower, so it's their one true weakness.
All it takes is the color yellow?
Yeah, I mean, the first Lantern's weakness was wood, so this is kind of an upgrade. And then finally, John asks about the other Lanterns,
Have you ever talked with the other Lanterns?
with Hal replying,
I'm the only human. They're aliens.
and that's not entirely false. Out of the 7,200 members of the Green Lantern Corps, there's only ever been about a handful of Green Lanterns from Earth. It's interesting that Hal says that he's the only human though, as it's rumored that Guy will be appearing in some episodes of this series. Hal then says,
One of them's a squirrel.
which is a reference to the cutest member of the Green Lantern Corps, Chip. So guys, that's the trailer. Now this sets up a lot for the ongoing story of the DCU and a lot for the character of Hal Jordan. Like I mentioned, Hal walks away from the Green Lantern Corps for a time after he was taken over by an entity called Parallax. And that unfolded in the comic book Emerald Twilight. In that run, Hal, completely devastated by the destruction of his home city, transforms into the being that represents fear itself, which forces Kyle Reiner to step into the role of Green Lantern. Lantern. Here, we could see John Stewart take Reiner's place, instead setting him up as the Green Lantern of the DCU. That's right, we think that the big twist at the end of this series could be that Hal Jordan becomes the main villain. Big shout out to Lee Mazzio who wrote this video. You can find his social links below. What did you think about the trailer? Are you excited? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments or at me on Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, or our free to join Discord server. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.